So hello, a very warm welcome to the VAR show, the show which talks about all the various major football leagues in detail. Today we are going to continue the theme of interviews, and we have a very special guest from China. We have the technical director of football in China, Mr. Chris Van Puyvelde. Did I mispronounce the surname? If I did, I'm so
No, it's
sorry.
okay.
I
Some
don't
say
know.
Puyvelde, some say it's Puyvelde, but it's okay, no problem.
Okay. So, nonetheless, a very warm welcome to the show, Chris, and thank
Thank
you so
you.
much for giving me your time. During this busy day that you are having, and still you took out time. That's a big honor for me. So, I will begin by asking you, how are you, and how has everything been for you? Like of late, because the entire world is quite different from what it was maybe 2 years back.
Yeah, but I'm already long time in football. I'm already more than 30 years in professional football. And then for me, you need to have some qualities in football. One of the qualities in football you need to have is flexibility and adaptability. If you cannot adapt to the moment and to the future, you're always busy with the past. And when I'm busy with the past, it's very clear. Then I'm looking to the past, but then I'm with my back to the future. I will never be back. I would never be with my back to the future. So I integrated very well in China. I had a fantastic time in Belgium as technical director by third place in the World Cup and so on. But China is also a very amazing country with a lot of challenges. And I'm somebody that loves challenges. So my family is here. My family is very happy. I say my youngest son is here. And my wife is also here living in Beijing. My son is going to the British school here in Beijing. And I'm working for the CFA, but before I also worked in Belgium, in Greece, in Holland, a little bit everywhere. I've been working for UEFA, and now I also have a very good relation with FIFA and with AFC. So I'm a man of the world. For me, the world is my planet, and I like to work on football because I have two passions. In China, they say yin and yang. Yin is my family, yang is football in China.
Definitely. And I wanted to ask you, like, was the China job your first time coming to Asia?
No. Yes, I came already to Japan. I was already invited by AFC for a big presentation in Japan, in Hiroshima. But before I signed in China, I was already 5, 6 times in China. So, but most of the time I was in Europe. I visited every country in Europe. I visited some countries in Africa. I've been invited in 5 or 6 countries in Africa to give some presentations. But for me, China was a huge challenge, so I wanted to come to Asia.
So, like you said, most of your time you spent in Europe, although you were in Asia for various smaller projects, not a big project like maybe like what you involved in Europe. Was it difficult
Yes.
for you to consider coming to China because it's a different continent first, and maybe the culture is quite different compared to what you have experienced back home?
Yes, it's different, but that's what I want. Because first of all, when I go to a country, I read a lot about the country, I study a lot about the country, and I want to know the culture. I speak with people. That's the first thing. Because I always say I have to adapt to the country. The country don't have to adapt to me. I don't want that 1.4 billion people will adapt to me. I have to adapt to the country. So the first thing I always do is observation. And I try to observe what I can do with the local people. I'm a foreigner, but I want to be as much local as possible. Because otherwise, if you give suggestions, I don't want that people just say to me, we will listen to you and we will do it, because that's not the process. Result is the end of the process. And my process is always, I want to inspire people. I want to give suggestions to people. And the process will be inside the country. And that's my way of working. That's my way that I want to work, because I have to adapt to the people, and then the trust will be there. And when the trust is there, there will be confidence. And when the confidence is there, you can work with the local people. And that's my way of working. I never say, I come here and you have to listen to me. No, never, never, ever. I say, I will give suggestions and you can follow it or not. I always make the next picture. I say, I'm building a house, and beside that house, there is another house. And you can join my house or you can stay in your house. It's no problem. But I will build an apartment. And if you want to stay in your house, there is no problem. That's the way I work. That's the way I've been working in Belgium and in other countries too. So I don't care. I adapt myself. I'm flexible. And then we start working together, because together and to show respect to people, that's one of the main targets I always have. If you show respect to people, they will show respect to you, and then you can start working. If you don't show respect to people, then they will never show respect to you, and you can never work. Then you think you're working, but you're not working in reality.
No, definitely. And one thing that you said, I think that hit a chord with me when I have spoken to other people also. So they're very, when I speak to coaches who come from Europe or technical directors who come from Europe here, they say one thing like, generally back home you are used to discussions with your team and everyone, but when they come this side, what they say, generally people do not question back, they just listen to them. Is that something you found difficult there, or was everyone very open in talking to you and giving suggestions?
No, because in the beginning, I've been listening for 6 months. You know, if you don't listen, you cannot live. We have eyes and we have ears. So it's very easy. We have to listen to what people are saying, because then you have a basic structure where you can start building. If you start building from the roof, then it's sure the house will collapse. If you start building from the basement, from ground zero, I would say, then the building will not collapse. So I can listen very well before I start acting. If you start acting before you listen, you have a problem. So no, I adapt.
But do the coaches and every other people involved in the industry, footballing industry, do they give you suggestions, or are they scared to open up to you, like they just take
In the
decisions?
beginning,
Yeah.
they are scared to open up, because the culture is about not losing face. And they think that I'm the expert. I'm an expert. Yes, I'm an expert in football due to so much experience. But they are the experts in the local football. So first of all, I have to listen to them. And then you build a kind of a relation. And then the moment the relation is there, you can start. Let's say with the people around me, with my collaborators, it took me half a year before they start saying what they wanted to say. But that's why I'm always not pushing. I'm giving suggestions, I'm giving ideas, I'm giving them some ideas, and then it's up to them. And step by step, it works. It works. And now I see, by giving online lessons, by traveling a lot in China, by working with grassroots and working with the national team, people start to know, okay, this is a good way for China. We can follow this way. But I would never say that they have to follow this way for 100%, because then you limit their own creativity. And when you start to limit their own creativity, and football creativity is very important. That's why I say we go on a main road. And when you look to the main road, it's a fantastic road. But because beside you have some nice rivers, you have some nice mountains, you have everything nice, that's your road. But from time to time, you need to come back to the main road to follow a process. And at the end of this nice road, you will have results. That's what we also did in Belgium. And you see the result is there. We have been working on it for more than 10 to 15 years, and the result is there. We have been long time and still number one on FIFA. We have done a great job with a small country with only 11 million people. So I still follow this road, but on a totally different way.
Definitely. And you said like how, just your last sentence was like how a small country like Belgium in comparison to China in terms of population is the number one team for quite a while now, whereas China have not been that successful with, in spite of having such a huge population. Why do you think like that part, the game did not evolve as much?
Yeah, but that's logic. If you see the country China and you compare 20 years ago and now, 20 years ago, China was copying, was looking, and it's a fantastic country. I can say I live here now for about almost 2.5 to 3 years. It's a fantastic country. If you see the development in the last 20 years on economy, on industry, on everything, it was really amazing. But football is not economy. Football is not the other things. Football is a sport. And also in a sport, you need to follow a certain guideline. But then our president said, also in football, we want to be successful, but we have time. So now we started with a process. And when you start with a process, you need to have some pillars. And for me, you have a lot of pillars, but the four main pillars are, first of all, long-term coach education and long-term player education. That's pillar number one. Pillar number two is you need to have a good competition. Pillar number three is when you have a good competition, you need to have a good structure and infrastructure. And then beside that, you need to create a high performance environment. But creating this is not a thing that you do in 1 or 2 minutes. It will be a process. And let's take Beijing. It is difficult to find ground to play football in Beijing, but in some other regions, it's easy. So also there, we need to go step by decentralizing football. And also, when we say that football is fun, bringing people together, more and more people start to see that moving when you are young, together with your education, it will bring you much more possibilities than only being studying. So also that is an internal process. But China, step by step, they are going in the right direction. That's what I know, and that's what we are working for, and that's why I want to do my suggestions and my experience to bring to the people. I don't work for myself, I work for the people.
Definitely. And like that, you touched on a lot of key points, especially the four pillars that you mentioned. I wanted to ask, like you said, you have been there for around 2.5 years now.
Yes.
Have you seen any changes in the positive direction that you
Yes.
have tried to implement there?
I never did something myself. We always do it together. It's not one man who will change it. It's a group. And when you start with 5 people, and these 5 people are inspiring another 5 people and 5, then it goes fast. And I can tell you one thing, Chinese people are quick learners. They learn very, 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 very fast. And now, when I'm traveling around in China, I already hear that we use the same vocabulary in football. If we say we play a pass between 2 players, we say we play a bypass. When I say the 1 against 1 is important, everywhere I start to hear the 1 against 1 is important. We made the red print. The red print is a sort of a guideline for Chinese football. People start to use these words. People start to use this way of working. And then you feel, okay, we are in the right direction. And sometimes it are small steps. Sometimes it are big steps. Now I've been supporting the national team. 1.5 years, it was mission impossible. We had to win the 4 games. Mr. Lippi, he disappeared. He said, okay, it's been enough for me. So we start working with the Chinese coach, Li Jie, and his staff. But it is Li Jie and his staff who are taking the decisions. I'm giving suggestions together with my staff. But together we are working very hard. And at the end, we achieved it. We won the 4 games and we are qualified for the next difficult round. But if you don't believe in it, you don't have to start. So you have to believe in football. You have to dream in football. You have to bring people together in football. You need to create an environment and then a high performance environment, and you need to create passion. And I see step by step, when we have been winning some games, also the people in China start to believe, okay, we can do it. It is the sponsor, my sponsor, and I can just do it. But it is also that just do it together. But it will take time. And that's also what I want whenever I leave here. And I don't know when, because I still have a contract for 1.5 years and maybe longer. That you never know. That's football. But I want to leave a legacy for China, a legacy for Chinese football, a legacy for the Chinese people.
Definitely. That's a very noble thought that you have had. And I wanted to ask you, on another important thing is, previously under your reign itself, you had Marcel Lippi, who is a well-known one of the figures
Yes.
of football, and he is not there anymore with China national team, and you have gone with a local coach. Is it something like, is it the part that you want to follow, where you want to groom maybe your local Chinese coaches to be able to take that
Yes.
position, or are you still looking for foreign coaches?
I will say it otherwise. I have a lot of respect for Marcelo Lippi. What he did was fantastic. But at a certain moment, you feel that local coaches, you also have to give them the confidence. You also have to support them. It doesn't mean that you cannot work with foreign coaches, because I'm a foreigner, but I want to be as less as possible foreigner. That's one thing. So if you feel that you can support local coaches, then you have one advantage: communication. If these local coaches are open for new ideas, then they will also communicate these new ideas to the players. And you know it better than who else. If you can communicate in your own language, with your own feelings, with your own sentiment, it's much more easier than as a foreigner. That's why it took so much time. But I don't say that a foreign coach can't do the same, but I say I prefer to work and to support local coaches because they are the future. And I'm always looking to the future. I can say I did more than 100 games in Champions League, in the World Cup, in Europe, but I don't talk about it. I talk about the future of China. I don't want to talk about my past. I want to talk about the future of China. And the future of China is long-term coach development, long-term player development, infrastructure, good competition, and so on, and so on, and so on. And that's always my focus. I never go out of my focus, because when you start to go out of your focus, you lose everything. You lose your own process. And if you lose your own process, the people around you don't see the process anymore. And that's, for me, more important than anything else.
No, that does make sense. And like I think like more and more, like I had seen a statistics, I think, recently, where the finalist of Copa America and the finalist of the Euro Cup, all the coaches were local, as in like they were of the same nation. So I think then a person who is born and bred in that country will probably understand the more smaller
Yeah,
nuances.
but it also depends. Let's take the example of Belgium, because I was the witness there. I was one of the creators there. It was very clear after Mark Wilmots, we wanted to coach with a certain profile. So what did we do? We have been working together with professional people, like a professional psychologist, professional people from clubs, and we designed a profile. And then we have been searching for people who really were able to be totally in this profile. And then we find Roberto Martinez. Roberto Martinez was Spanish, working a lot in UK, coming to Belgium, but he know all our players. And he wanted to integrate in Belgium because he wanted to live there. So if you live there and you want to integrate in everything, it's easy. So it doesn't mean that a foreign coach cannot do it. But if this foreign coach have the profile, what you want in your country, it's no problem. But if you can find the same profile with people from your own country, it's easier, but because it goes faster. But it depends from country to country. So it's not the golden key. It's not the golden key. But the golden key is find the profile, design a profile, a professional profile in a high performance environment that can fit in your country, and who is passionate for your country and is passionate for your football and your players and the development of that. Not somebody who is coming over there, say, okay, I take my money, we have results, and I go. That's a choice you have to make as a federation. That's a choice you have to make as leaders. That's a choice you have to make as president or whatever.
No, that does make sense. And I wanted to ask you, like, like Marcel Lippi was also involved with the club sides in China, and he has had a
Yes.
lot of success. Similarly, you have had big profile managers of Europe who have come down to manage the Chinese Super League sides. Do you think that has had a positive impact because the players are getting to play under different coaches who will impart their own knowledge and they get something back to the national camp?
Again, I will say the same. If these people, these coaches from wherever, coming to China, wants to adapt, want to work with the players, feel that they are a part of the system, then it helps. If these foreign coaches just come over here to take good money, just to be here and to have some results, it doesn't work. If they want to educate and to work, it helps, because it is not the same as you are going as a coach, let's say, in UK, because there you need to be directly high performance manager. Here you also need to be educator. So it's not about only being a high performance coach, it's also about to be a high performance educator. And when this foreign coaches are coming to China and say for themselves, I want to educate beside the result, and the local club agrees with that and not only looking to result, then I'm sure it's really beneficial for China, for Chinese football, and for Chinese people. This is my idea.
No, again, that again is important because like being from Nepal, I do know like how like if a foreign coach comes, they are kind of looked upon, and like everyone looks
I
up
know,
and they think, okay, this if he's going
but
to save them. But I
but
think
it's easy to look to somebody and say, oh, what he did is fantastic. But I'm always looking what he do now and what he will do in the future. So I'm not busy with the past. The past is for me the mirror for the future. But it doesn't mean that, okay, I did this, so for me, my life is okay. No, no, no. I still dream every day. And I dream about how can we make the Chinese football together better. That's my dream, not another dream. Not about my past, not about my experience. I use this experience to give suggestions, but it's up to them to do something with it or not to do something with it. I will be happy if they do something with it, but I will also be happy if they don't do something with it, because if they think that some other suggestions are better, it's okay. I have a very open mind for that. So I don't say I know everything and you know nothing. No, no, I say together we know a lot and we want to achieve a lot together. And we can beat however we want. In one game, you can beat everybody. In a total competition, it's different.
no, that does make sense. And like I wanted to ask you, like in terms of you being the technical director, you have been involved in this profile a lot. Did you always want to be a technical director, or you also wanted to be a coach or something on
No,
that?
that's finished. That's finished. No, 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 no. You cannot do everything. That's what I said before. When I talked to my personal sports psychologist, I already been working a long time with him. He's a man with experience. It's Jeff Brouws, who's one of the best sports psychologists in Europe. He always says, stay in your focus. You know, for me, life is a kind of two baskets. It's a basket of toys you love to play with and a basket of toys you don't love to play with it. But if in your life you can bring one toy or two or three or four from the basket with toys you don't love to play to the other basket, it's fantastic, because with this basket, your passion, the result is coming much faster than with the other one. So focus on the things you can do. Never focus on the things you can't do, because then you lose your energy. So put all your energy in the things that you can change, but the change have to come from inside.
No, that does make sense. So like I'll ask you more, like centered to maybe the differences between your time in Europe and your in Asia right now. In terms of your
Okay.
project, would be like you said, you had a similar philosophy where like you have a set of things that you do, but was there any tweaks that you had to make, or something that you encountered was new that you had to incorporate?
Yes, yes. But it's not a trick, eh? It's just by listening and observing, and then you see what is the best way to inspire people. That's what you need to do. You have your knowledge. And I don't say if you know the knowledge, you still need to be up to date every day. You have to follow the football in the world. You have to follow the football wherever. But there is a certain way of working. There is a certain strategy. And this strategy, you have to adapt to the country where you work. But there is no trick. There are no tricks. It's only about strategy, management, and content. These are the tricks. Content is what you know, what they know, and where you can help them. Strategy is what they know, what you know, and where you can help them to be better. And the process is a summary about everything. That's how it is. So if you see that one against one is important in China, because I saw that coaches before, they didn't stimulate the players to dribble. They say when you lose your ball, they start to shout against the players. So one of the things I saw directly is, please say to the players, be positive that they start to dribble. Because when you dribble, it's 1 against 1. If you win, it's 2 against 1. Football is like mathematics. If you win, it can be 3 against 2, 4 against 2, and then you have more chance to score. The principle in football is very simple. You try to score in the other goal. That's the principle in football. There's not one, there are no more principles. You try to score in the other goal. And to do that, you have some pillars. You have ball possession, you have ball loss, and you have transition. Transition become more and more important. And then in this ball movement, you are organizing and you're also doing action. Around the ball, there is the action. Away from the ball, there is the organization. And then when the ball is in front, there is the action and the organization is behind the ball. So you need to bring to players ideas. But first of all, they need to be the boss of the ball. If you're not the boss of the ball and you only have it for 1.5 to 2 minutes in a game, if you lose all the time the ball, you have a big problem. You have to run much more when you don't have the ball. So it's off the ball movement and on the ball movement. And then the transitions and so on. But about that, I can talk 2 days, but that's too long. But it's all about principles. It's not 4-4-2 or 4-3-3. It's about the principles you want to play in your system. That's your game management.
Definitely. So, like, I think a major part of your work would also be to, like, improve maybe the grassroots system and, like the footballing in the youth. I wanted to ask you, like, how is football perceived among the youths? Is football the main sport there, or do kids like to play other sports and football is a more, like a
I think
second?
football is the main sport, but it doesn't mean that we don't want that more people are playing football. But when you look, when you're 2-3 years old until 12, you can do a lot of different sports. I like the multi-move program. In the beginning, it's not about playing football, it's about how to move. If you scout young players, I only look, are they good movers or not? That's the only thing I'm looking. And then you look to coordination between eye and foot and eye and hand. And then you can do some tests in Belgium. We did some tests when you're 6 years old, when you're 12 years old. And then you can already predict in which side of sports they will go. So in the beginning, you just look to how do they move? How do they move? That's already very, 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 very important. And then you can see the talent. Once you have the talent, you start to educate the talent. Once you start to educate the talent, you go to a high performance level. And when you put this in a graphic, you will see that you start with talent, but the moment you go up to 14, 15 and more you go to a high performance level. Which environment do you want to create for the player? Because the player is central. The player is the most important one. And if you create a good environment for the player when he is young, by letting him playing football, let him dribble, let him enjoy, and later, let's bring him into a high performance environment with good nutrition, with good physical load, with good mental load, with good physical load, technical load, and so on and so on. You create an environment for the player where he can grow himself. And then you see the difference in mentality between players. Players who are more creative, players who are more talented in organization, but you need both of them. And that's how you create an environment in the team, starting with 2 players, starting with 4 players, starting with 1 line, starting with the connection between lines, and so on. So, yeah, it's a huge puzzle, but it's a fantastic puzzle. But at the end, the puzzle is nice, but you need to find the pieces of the puzzle.
No, definitely. And like, I have a few more questions before we wrap up. And like, one of them is, do you think like maybe if like you have few players already going and playing across maybe in the Spanish divisions from like China, and like, do you think like do you think more players have to travel maybe across Europe or even across Asia from China to maybe much more difficult league compared to maybe the CSL? Do you think that is important for the national team to grow, or do you think that is not?
Yes. Again, I start with principles. My principle is the best have to play against the best. But you build a pyramid. And when you want that the best are playing against the best, you need to start with a broad base. If you start with a broad base, your top of the pyramid will be much stronger. because there the selection is made. So if your base is broad, you can make a fantastic pyramid. At the top of the pyramid is the national team. But during this period, you need to create good competition. A good competition means the best have to play against the best. But in China, it's not always easy, because I give you an example. You're living in the north and you have to go and play in the south, and you're 14 years old. Excuse me. That means that you have to sit in a plane for 4 hours. But during these 4 hours, you don't learn to play football. So you start with decentralization, you start with local competition, and you go to more and more regional competitions, national competitions, international competitions. These are again the principles you follow in your pathway as a football player. That's important. Don't think about, I have to do this, I have to do that. No. You have to follow a pathway. And if you follow this pathway, everything is logic. So you bring people in difficult or different environments, and you build them up from easy to difficult, from difficult to easy, from easy to difficult. It's the same what you do in trainings. You start with small spaces, because if you look to the brain of the player, you have to look to the windows of, I call them the windows of opportunity. Each player in his age have a certain window of opportunity. And it's about you who are creating this window of opportunity for him. So he can work, he can not work, he can enjoy this window of opportunity. You don't start with a player of 5 years old to let him play on a big field. No, you have to start to let him play 2 against 2, to have a lot of touches. And then while the brain is growing, he will see that he can use his teammates to play better football. And that's what you do. You create an environment. You create an environment for the individual player. You don't create an environment for the whole football landscape. That is automatically, that is logic.
So moving on, like you have said in one of your previous answers that one of your major things will be to leave a legacy whenever you do leave,
Yes.
if you do leave China. So how do you want to be remembered when you, and if you do leave China in the future?
It's very easy. I hope that they will say that I was helping China. I hope that they will say that I was helping Chinese football. And I hope that they will say that I was helping the Chinese people. Not only in football, but also in the way of thinking about football, reaction about football, loving football, joy in football. Because China is such an amazing country that I want that that the result will come in a couple of years, and that they remind me as maybe a small part of the new process in Chinese football that has been designed by the government and by people who wants to do something with football, who loves football. That's the only thing. I don't want that they say to me, okay, you did a fantastic job or whatever. No. I just want that they remember me as I was one of them. That's for me much more important than to be a legend or whatever. Legends, they disappear, but if you're one of them, you're one of them.
And I think that does make a lot of sense, because like coming from maybe outside of China and to be accepted, I think that would be, when you do live as one of them, I think that would be the biggest honor than to be remembered
Yes.
as a legend.
Some people are saying to me, you have a Chinese heart. That's much more important for me than all the other things.
Definitely. So I'll ask you one very basic question. I don't know, like, if it does make sense. What do you, when you do hear the word football, what does it first strike in your mind?
The word football, for me,
Yeah.
oh, passion, my life, part of my life together with my family, part of my life together with music. I love to play guitar, I love to hear music. Part of my life together with cooking, part of my life together with being people together, part of my life being happy.
Yeah, that does make sense. So you do a lot of other things also other than football, like you mentioned, like you have a lot of other things.
It's
So
my passion.
that's
Yeah.
amazing to hear. So we'll wrap it up with one final question, and like of course you're having a lot of influence on a lot of like people involved in the Chinese football fraternity, directly or indirectly. Like you said, when you travel, you hear a lot of the phrases that you have kind of tried to introduce. Is there anything that you would want to give advice on to anyone listening anywhere from the world, if they want to make a career in coaching or even as a player, generally related to football?
First of all, if you're young, take your ball with to your bed and take it as something like your heart. That's the first thing. The ball, the ball. If you enjoy playing with the ball, if you enjoy playing together with people, if you enjoy to be part of the big football family, that's the first thing. That's what I call the first star, the star inside you. Then, the moment you start playing with people together, please enjoy this fantastic sport. It brings people together. It brings unity. It brings united. I saw it in Belgium. I saw it in Belgium when we were in the third place. When we came back, the whole Belgium was waiting for us. We could go to the king. We were like heroes, but you never felt like heroes because you felt that you brought something to your country. You brought something for happiness to the people. You brought love to the people. And that's so nice. If you bring people together by playing football, by having fun, by showing respect to everybody, by showing respect to diversity, showing respect to other people. FIFA say respect. I respect football, I respect people, and I respect the world. And that's what I want to give as a message to everybody.
Definitely, and I hope that's helpful not only in football, generally in life, to respect
Yes.
everyone, and understand everyone, respect everyone. So like on that note, Chris, thank you so much for talking to me, and I wish you all the best in your journey in China, and hope you can leave your long-lasting legacy like you have done in your previous works. And hope to talk to you again soon, and maybe hope to see you in Nepal someday as a guest. If not for anything, please do come to watch the our games which we play. It's in Viratnagar. We play, and you are always our guest to come. So, and hope to see you again soon and talk to you hopefully soon. Till then,
No
take care.
problem.
Thank you so
It
much
was
once.
my pleasure. It was my pleasure to take part in this fantastic conversation, not only the questions, but also to talk to people from Nepal, because I'm a man of the world. I'm a man who are respecting a lot of countries and a lot of people. So, however, whatever happened, and maybe once I will be in Nepal, talk to you, but also talk to people who love football, but for sure who respect everyone in this world. Thank you very much. Have a nice day and enjoy your passion, because your passion is football. I see it on your face. I see it here, and
These
it's
are
very close to your heart. It's very close to your heart. So enjoy life. You're young. Enjoy football, and just go on what you're doing, your passion. A
Thank you so
lot of
much.
success, a lot of love. Enjoy life. Bye bye.
Bye.